Hey up! Right, the weather's taken a bit of a turn for the worse this week, but yeah, I suppose we needed a bit of rain, really. Now, really, I should be getting on with the accessories series for the Honda GB 350S, but, you know, too much of a good thing and all that. I thought I would just give it a little bit of a break for today and have a little chat about my top 5 reasons for ditching the car and taking a motorcycle for your daily commute to work and back. I mean, it's a funny old world, really. I suppose the speciality of this channel is sort of modern classic motorcycles. Bikes that capture the era of sort of the 1960s and 70s when, you know, it was a rite of passage for everybody when they left school and started work. The only way that they could get around independently was on a motorcycle. And a lot of us, you know, indulge ourselves in these modern classic motorcycles and we just use them for fun. We use them as toys. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but we're underusing them in a lot of ways. Because despite the styling of a bygone era, they are still very usable and economical transport. Now, before I get started, could you please leave a like if you enjoy this video, or leave a like even if you don't enjoy this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. When you do that, enable your notifications so that YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. Now, I've always thought that, you know, people should make more use of motorcycles for getting to work and back. And, you know, not just for that. I use mine to do my shopping. A lot of people view motorcycling as a frivolous pastime, but there's a lot more to bikes than that. Let's look at number 1, and I'm not going through any of these in any particular order, it's just as they're coming to my head. Finances. For various reasons, using a motor car, or even using public transport for that matter, politically and economically are becoming less and less viable with every year. And motorcycles, if you choose wisely, can be reasonably cheap to buy and very cheap to run. You don't have to buy a brand new motorcycle, it can be a second-hand one, and if you choose between the range of sort of 125cc's and 500cc's, you can probably pick something up for about £1,000 second-hand. If you've got the cash, you can buy a new one for under £4,000 these days, especially in the 350cc category, which, as you know, is my favourite motorcycle category. And even if you buy one of these motorcycles on finance, you know, you're looking at well under £100 a month in most cases. And once you've sorted out tax, insurance and the actual running cost of the bike in the way of maintenance and petrol, you're probably only looking at about £100 to £120 a month, which is roughly half the running cost of a car. Most motorcycles in the 125 to 350 category will do at least 100 miles to the gallon, and although insurance or the cost of insurance could be an issue for some people, the tax is dirt cheap, and for that reason alone they make perfect sense. Now, if you only have a provisional licence, of course, that is going to limit you somewhat. You can ride a 125 for up to 2 years, but you know, you have to take a little one-day course initially, which will get you your ticket in order for you to be able to do that here in the UK. I suppose it'll be different elsewhere in the world. Either way, in a lot of cases, it's still even going to be cheaper than using public transport. When I look back to my uni days, it used to require 2 buses to get me to there and then 2 buses to get me back. By today's prices, that would be about £170 a month. Just getting there and back Monday to Friday. And the thing is, I was tied to someone else's timetable, and that's another thing, reason number 2, convenience and speed. For a start, when it comes to comparing a motorcycle with public transport, you're not having to watch the clock all the time. You know, if you missed your bus back in my day, it was another hour before another one came along. Motorcycle travel isn't as time sensitive as either public transport or using a car. Commuting on a motorcycle has some distinct advantages time-wise over both those modes of travel. A motorcycle doesn't have to keep stopping every few hundred yards to pick up or allow passengers to get off, and it's much smaller and agile than a car. In a lot of regions, it's legal to lane split or filter through standing traffic, and in some regions you can even use the bus lane. So you can get to work 3 or 4 times faster than you'd be able to in a bus, and probably half the time it would take in a car. And the icing on the cake is that when you get to work, it's usually very quick, easy and free to park your bike up. Most places of work usually provide some form of cycle parking, which a small motorcycle can utilise. There are a lot of free motorcycle parking bays around city centres. A lot of council-run car parks have free motorcycle bays. And in all my 40 plus years of motorcycling, I can safely say, hand on heart, I've never had problems quickly finding somewhere free to park up so I can get on with my day. So, that money that you're saving and that relatively stress-free journey to and from work every day has a positive benefit to your mental health. Which leads us on to point number 3. Travelling and commuting by motorcycle has a positive effect on your mental health. Now, over the years, there's been several sort of time periods in my life where I have used a car rather than a motorcycle to get to and from my place of work. And the daily commute to work is one of the biggest sources of stress in our lives. It always seemed to me it didn't matter how early you set off in the morning, how you tried to judge the traffic. There was times when, it just never worked out. And I remember several times having to ring, my inspector or sergeant up, explaining that although I only lived 6 miles away from work, I'd been sitting in a traffic jam for 3/4 of an hour and hadn't moved for the last 20 minutes. Often cursing myself for not taking a bike as I did so. And it wasn't much better when you took a bus. Obviously a bus was just as prone to getting snarled up in traffic as a car. But the ease and convenience with which a motorcycle is able to negotiate heavy traffic is worth its weight in gold, not just in time saved, but in stress relief. It's been clinically proven in studies that riding motorcycles is good for your mental health. Not just for the relief of stress on your daily commute, but just travelling by motorcycle in general. It inhibits the production of cortisol and encourages the production of dopamine and serotonin, happy chemicals. It's just an enjoyable mode of transport. I mean, I remember, it's going back some years now, but I used to look forward to finishing work, not just because I was finishing work and I was going home, but because I was going to be riding my bike home. And more often than not, a 10-mile journey would turn into a 15 or 20-mile journey. I'd take the long way home just for the hell of it, just because I could, just because of the freedom that motorcycle gave to me. But motorcycling doesn't just help with mental health, it has physical health benefits too. Number 4. Over the last 70 or 80 years, and I admit motor vehicles are probably partly responsible for this, the human race has become, that is the human race in the Western world, has become sicker and sicker. The human body is a biomechanical machine. It's designed to work in order to stay alive. In the name of occupational health, our workplaces have become less physically demanding. Advertising and marketing is constantly throwing solutions at us to make things easier and, again, less physically demanding. And unfortunately, motor vehicles are going the same way, in the name of safety and ease of use. Most cars built nowadays are automatics. There's even a push towards automatic motorcycles, something which I will resist until my dying breath. Anti-collision systems built into vehicles that apply the brakes if, you know, the car thinks you're going to run into the car in front of you. They're even looking at introducing that to motorcycles now. More and more, we're relinquishing our mental responsibilities, our senses, to the care of a machine. And we're becoming less and less aware of what our eyes and ears are telling us. For me, motorcycles are that final bastion of actually being able to do something physically yourself. A motorcycle is by its very nature quite a heavy machine, and it requires balance and muscle right from the moment that you put the key in the ignition. It has to be pushed and manoeuvred around. You have to hold the bike up when you're riding it. You know, you have to hold it up at traffic lights. All the time that you are sort of interacting with a motorcycle, it's giving you a little mini workout. I mean, I remember reading a study that was carried out some years ago that suggested riding a motorcycle will burn up to 600 calories an hour. I feel a little bit skeptical about that, but there's no doubt about it. Riding a motorcycle is far more physically beneficial than driving a car or sitting in a bus. In fact, riding a motorcycle uses just about every muscle in your body, from your hands to your feet, your legs, your upper body, and even your neck muscles are constantly having to resist the wind, hold up the weight of the bike, operate the clutch and the brakes. You know, I'm not trying to suggest it's as good as going to the gym, but it's better than nothing at all. It's better than driving a car or riding in a bus. It helps to halt physical decline. And then we come to the final reason. Reason number 5. As far as motor vehicles go, riding a small to medium capacity motorcycle is far better for the environment than either driving a car or riding in a bus. And I say that because most buses that I see these days only have a handful of people actually as passengers. And granted, buses might make a little bit more sense environmentally if every bus on the road was permanently packed with passengers, but the truth is they're not. Most of the time there's no more than 5 or 6 people in them. And it's the same with trains. For the most part, I refuse to believe that they make much sense environmentally anywhere other than large congested cities. I live on a sort of main rush hour route, and every morning I watch the traffic queuing up outside on the road, and I don't know exactly what the proportions are, but I reckon only about 1 in 8 cars has any more than just the driver in them. Motorcycles make so much more sense. They're much smaller, the footprint on the road is much smaller, they're much lighter, they cause far less wear on our motoring infrastructure. The convenience and agility of a motorcycle means it doesn't really contribute much to congestion, if at all, and they consume a fraction of the sort of natural resources required to build and run them compared to a car or a bus. And it stands to reason, if you're consuming less fuel, you're creating less emissions. Motorcycles are far better for the environment, for commuting, than just about any other vehicle on the road. So commuting on a motorcycle is without a doubt kinder to the planet. Now really, I've only touched the tip of the iceberg regarding commuting on motorcycles in this video. I could have gone on for hours and hours. You know, congestion charges, parking charges, freeing up of parking spaces in our city centres that, you know, would help those that need to use a car, and the way that motorcycles can assist our economy, even if it's just down to alleviating congestion and keeping the roads clear for commuting and commerce. I mean, if everybody that could used a small motorcycle for commuting, that would in general speed up everyone's travelling time so much. Ultimately, it would save our economy billions of pounds a year. But anyway, that's my 5 good reasons for taking on a motorcycle for commuting, whether you're a motorcyclist or not. Let me know any sort of additional benefits or ideas that you might have in the comments section. I'm sure there's things that I've missed. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. You can help me out in other ways via my Patreon page or PayPal donations, or you can make a donation via the super thanks button down below. It's not essential, but it is appreciated. I will of course be back on Friday, so until then, ride safely and I'll see you soon. There's no exhaust on the other side.